PJ Haggerty / Daggerty after the game said the AAC is not as easy as people say. Is that a fair statement, Gary, or is that the statement you make after you come a little too close to comfort against North Texas?
I say this as respectfully as I can say it. It's a statement you make when you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
And I know that sounds harsh. I don't mean it harshly. I just think most college basketball players are not looking at the data and studying it the way, say, people who have to talk about this stuff and write about this stuff do. And I see it with coaches sometimes too. Coaches sometimes will be like, yeah, I think we're top 5 defense in America. And you go, well, not even close, bud. What are you basing that on?
Feel.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Yeah, or it's like, I think we belong in the top 25, and it's crazy that we're not in. Based on what? I can't find a single thing that suggests you should be in. Like, no computer. You don't have the quality wins. You've taken this loss. What? I think sometimes people just talk. They don't know what they're talking about. And that's what PJ Haggerty was doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The league is awful. It's ranks 10th in the country, below Conference USA.
Right.
Remember how much people hated Conference USA? You are now in a league that rates lower than Conference USA. Your old league that was an embarrassment is now better than the league you're in right now. That's the truth.
Yes. I do think sometimes, specifically as it pertains to PJ Haggerty, like, you just played a game.
Yeah.
You just came off of going to FAU, beating the brakes off of that team. Everything feels good. And Penny talked about it after the game. Like, he didn't see the response that he would have hoped following that win and how difficult it is to make it through. And we've talked about this. It's hard to win all of your games in conference play, not because the league is better, just because it requires you to be firmly on your P's and Q's every night, and that's just a difficult thing for any team to do. Now, for it to happen to Memphis so early perhaps can generate more of an understanding of you really can lose to anyone on any given night. It's not because the AAC is better than what people are calling it, what the metrics are saying it is. It's simply because that's the nature of basketball.
Exactly right. It's not an apples to apples analogy, but I think it hammers home a point. I've used it a million times before, so let's make it 1,000,001. You got to get that checked out. You got to get that checked out.
I've been holding it in.
I need you to go to the doctor. Again.
I'm supposed to go to the ENT Thursday, but I'm going to move it because there's just nothing new with. Anyway, continue on with your 1,000,001 point, then I'll drink some water.
Okay. Every time Steph Curry goes to the free throw line, what do you think is going to happen?
He's going to make it,
You
Gary.
think he's going to make it, right? And he should. If somebody gave you a $100 bill every time he steps to the free throw line and said, bet it, yes or no, he's going to make it or not, you'd bet yes every time. He is still going to miss 1 out of every 10, basically, on average. The best shooter of all time, a free throw. These are things he can do with his eyes closed, like quite literally. He's still going to miss 1 out of every 10. Similarly, just because you're playing 10 basketball games in a row that you are supposed to win easily, just like you're shooting a free throw you're supposed to make no problem, you're going to mess up sometimes. And so the goal here is to avoid those as often as possible, but they do happen. And it's not because the league's tough. It's just because trying to win every game without exception is
tough.
That's not something that normally happens.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hart, live every weekday at 8 a.m.